Happy Friday, everyone. Jason here, architect working in Toronto. This is my daily video. This morning, I'm so tired. Friday, we got there. We did it. Locked it in. This morning I went to a site out in the beaches, our beaches house that's under construction. Very exciting. There's always been a deadline to all projects have a deadline, and unfortunately for this one, the owners had to move back into the house due to a bunch of reasons, but the contractor's not done yet, so it's tough. The owners are living in a bit of a construction zone, but it's getting there. It's always so difficult because demolition happens, and that noise in the back is the robot vacuum going. It's always difficult because the demolition of it is so quick. It's like in a day, everything's gone. And then when it comes to finishing, it just feels like forever. And that's the nature of construction. It just takes a long time to get there. So we spent a good 2 hours going through the entire house of the project, talking about little things like priority lists, the broad things that need to get done versus the finer tuned things that can be addressed as a deficiency list at the end of final walkthrough. So that's all well and good. I ran back to the office, got back about 11:30, and some staff were in today to prepare for a 12 noon project, a client meeting in our office, which it's nice. It's nice to host. It's nice to host people again. And yeah, it's going through that. That was a kickoff meeting. So in what we like to do for our clients is on the intro phases, we would do a kickoff meeting and we would talk about lifestyle and hobbies and rituals, kind of daily rituals, seasonal rituals, and then that helps us, that manifests into architecture in some way. Like how does, some people might have things like, oh, we want to wake up to eastern morning light facing this direction because of these reasons, or whatever it is, or someone might be like, I use my electric toothbrush and blah, blah. Like those things actually do work into a design. All of a sudden it's like, okay, we got a sense of your world, your kind of rituals. And it's really important when designing a house or a home, making it a home, that we take into account these things. Nothing's worse than moving into a house that's like foreign to you when it's like this place that you've been working on for so long. So we spent a good, I think, 2 hours at that doing that meeting, and that's a new project for one of my staff. Very exciting, I think these clients are looking for some real expression, some real architectural expression. We're going to play with some materials, make it tectonically pretty interesting. It's also really important that these kickoff meetings have, if there's two spouses or if there's two partners or if there's multiple people, multiple stakeholders, really important that they are involved in these things. If you yourself do kickoff meetings, or if you are thinking about that in your practice, I highly recommend spending the time up front at the early stages of a project to do that. It wasn't even actually my idea. It was Daniel and Melanie in our office. They wrote their architect's exams this year, and going through the Canadian Handbook of Architectural Practice, they're going through it, the Architect's Handbook of Practice. And they're like, oh, there's this kind of phase that we've been missing in our workflow about doing a kickoff, doing a creative brief, a kind of an intro thing. And so we started doing it, and it's been hugely invaluable. Like, it's so good. It really helps focus the project, and keeps things on target from an architectural standpoint. So that's been great. And I love these meetings too, because we talk as humans, and I get to know our clients better. Ultimately, I'm not design lead. I hand off to a staff member, and they are the design lead, and they are the communication kind of apex or axis of communication. But I like to know my clients relatively well to kind of get a sense of who they are. It's important. And then when I give my ideas in the design process, at least it's informed in some way. It's not just like some architectural theory, that's rooted in some odd belief system that's not related to the homeowners, the people that own this house. At the end of that meeting, it was kind of neat because they're like, oh, what projects are you on? And oddly enough, our office, we used to be mainly not mainly, 50% residential, 50% commercial. About 20 projects residential, 20 projects commercial. During the pandemic, not oddly enough, like during the pandemic, which makes a lot of sense, it became almost all residential. Like people are at home, they're staring at their kitchens, they're staring at their life, like they're stuck in close quarters, and like we need a new office, or it's like, oh, we need a better kitchen, or it's like, oh, this basement really needs to be reworked. In many cases, like there's a baby on the way, and it's like we need another space, things like that. So during the pandemic, residential has exploded to a renovation kind of addition kind of level aspect. But now, pandemic has kind of subsided. There's kind of this impending recession, but at the same time, during pandemic, a lot of vacancies in a way opened up for commercial spaces. So we're finding commercial has kind of lit up again. There's all these like new spaces that new businesses have taken over, and they need an architect to do any kind of renovation. So we're seeing kind of a little uptick there, and it could be artificial. I don't know. Like it could be this kind of artificial blip to this kind of impending recession. So anyway, we're leaning into it. We're going back to commercial projects, and that's fine. It's been exciting. But yeah, that came up in conversation at the site visit earlier this morning. Back to the meeting. So back to the afternoon meeting. We had a pretty good meeting. We zoomed in one of the spouses, and then in person was the other spouse. Really important to have the two there, because no two people think exactly alike. And even if you are a couple, even if you're with someone else, there's going to be differences in your life of your kind of rituals as a person. And there's just different, it's not a compromise, but the two lifestyles complement each other. It's like, how does that rectify in an architectural design? So that's the challenge before us, is like, how do we, sometimes spouses or partners are in completely different, like opposite ends of a thought process or of a belief. And, opposites attract. How do we turn that into one home? That's really difficult. That's like so hard. So that's the fun part as well. And that got handed off. Just dealing with like so that we're at the end of the week. So it's like trying to wrap up loose ends. We have a multi-residential kind of set of renovations going on. This landlord is basically flipping units to rent out for more money. And I mean, it's not my proudest work, of course, but it's work. This is the side of architecture where it's like, we need to do our job to get paid to put food on the table for ourselves and our loved ones. So I mean, it's that is a job, and it is difficult. And there was, because of the nature of the project, it's a little bit mismanaged, which doesn't instill confidence with the building department. So there was a little bit of a inspector issue today that now I'm dealing with on Monday afternoon. I will have to run to site, do a full walkthrough, talk about the things that they need to fix. Why they called in an inspector early, I don't know. Like, it's not ready. It's not ready for them to see. But sometimes an owner, or there's political pressures or financial pressures to push forwards, and then they book things out of order. It happens. So that was a stressful thing. And then there's another project. It's frustrating. Another project into construction. There was this pipe underground that was like, the contractors start excavating. They're like, what is this? No one knows what this is. and it turns out it's some kind of water main that no one knew about. And so it put a whole hold on the project to get a civil engineer involved to figure out what it is, put in 2 shutoffs, divert this line around this like little addition to a commercial building. Oh, so that is basically gotten resolved from an engineering standpoint, ready to be executed. And this change order came in, this bill from the contractor that's like, this is how much it's going to cost to change. And of course it's like $65,000, which is like, it's a lot of money. I'd say on one hand, it's not a lot of money depending on your relation to wealth. But for this project, it's like, oh, like it's already a budget project. It's supposed to be a shell of a vanilla shell building, like nothing crazy. But yeah, so that's bad news. Like that, like that's tough. So we were dealing with that today as well. And then yeah, another project basically got signed on for this contractor to execute. We are a little bit behind on our drafting, like the documentation needs to catch up, but it's just because it's an accelerated timeline. That's commercial work. It's like almost like it's a total flip on its head compared to residential, where it's like residential at someone's home. So there's a very it's close to the chest, and it's like this needs to be there's a lot of care put into it. There's a lot of talking with the clients and understanding, their needs and their goals in life and things like that. It's a lot more warm and fuzzy versus the commercial side. It's like cold, hard, and fast. It just needs to get done. There's benefits to both. Commercial is really fast in general, and in general we get paid faster. Then again, though, happy residential clients, they pay us really fast too. So I mean, on a financial side, it's fine. It's just a different headspace that you have to be in to do the projects. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things going on. I have a little contractor party to go to. There is this kind of symbiosis with contractors and architects that it's like, we get invited to parties, they get invited to parties, and we mix and mingle. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. But at the same time, it's Friday. And back in my youth, Friday parties were like, woo, yeah, all right. But then when it comes to the working world, by Friday, it's like, oh, I just want to curl up in a bed and just get to Sunday kind of thing. So, but that's where you rally. So tonight I'll be rallying, and yeah, thanks for tuning in, and catch you on the next one. Cheers.